All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're doing something a little different. We're not going to be digging through some dense research paper. Instead, we're going to deconstruct a few really powerful headlines about one of the world's most iconic car makers. The story they tell is a stark warning about the new reality of industrial threats, and it all starts with two words you just don't expect to see together.
It all kicks off with this one stunning sentence from major industry publication. Jaguar Land Rover bailout shows rising cost of cybercrime. Just let that sink in for a second. Bailout, cybercrime. I mean, those aren't two terms you'd typically find in the same sentence, and it immediately tells you this is not your average corporate story.
So, that raises our big question for this whole explainer. How on earth does a digital attack on a car company lead to a word like bailout? What are the missing steps in that chain of events? Well, let's unpack the headlines and find out.
Okay, so first things first, let's look at where this story even came from and break down the headline into its basic parts.
Our source is Automotive News, a super respected voice in the auto world, and get this, the date is October 7th, 2025. So this isn't some historical case study we're digging up. This is a recent event which makes the whole thing that much more urgent and, frankly, believable.
You can really boil this entire crisis down to its essence. The subject? Jaguar Land Rover. The event? Cybercrime. And the impact? Rising costs that got so severe they triggered this whole situation. This simple, kind of brutal equation is what we're going to explore.
So, here's the crucial part, connecting the digital world to the physical one. How does a cyber attack actually stop a factory? Let's see how that first domino fell.
One of the source headlines uses this specific word, shutdown. And this is so important. We're not talking about a slow network or a few glitches in the system here. No, this means the entire, incredibly complex, and really expensive machinery of car manufacturing was forced into a dead stop.
And a shutdown like this has this massive cascading effect in a modern factory. The assembly lines just go silent. The sophisticated just-in-time delivery of parts completely breaks down. Vehicles are left half-built, and the entire plant, with all its workers, is just idle. Every single minute this is happening, money is just evaporating into thin air.
Now, the story gets a little more nuanced from here. Another report mentions a restart, which, sounds like good news. But look at the key qualifier, some production. This tells us the fix wasn't easy and it definitely wasn't complete. The attack caused deep, lingering damage, and the factory was struggling to get back on its feet, not just, flipping a switch.
An idle factory is a huge problem. But how does that operational crisis turn into a full-blown financial catastrophe? Let's connect the dots to the company's bottom line.
And here's the next fragment from the headlines. And it's the logical next step. The company reports big drop in vehicle sales. It's a simple but absolutely ruthless equation. If you cannot build cars, you cannot sell cars. The shutdown directly choked off the company's primary way of making money.
This leads us to the final, critical question. When a company of this scale has its income suddenly just collapse because its core operation is paralyzed, what is the ultimate financial safety net? Or, maybe more accurately, the last resort?
And that brings us right back where we started to the most alarming word from the beginning, bailout. And let's be really clear, this isn't just a business loan, it's emergency financial aid given to a company to prevent its total collapse. It signals that the damage was so severe, the company literally could not survive without somebody stepping in.
So here it is, the entire chain reaction laid out plain as day. A single digital event, a cyber attack, triggers a massive physical shutdown. That operational failure leads directly to a catastrophic drop in sales, and that financial bleeding becomes so bad that it necessitates a bailout. It's a shocking and direct line from a keyboard to a corporate crisis.
So, why does this one story matter so much? Well, because it isn't just about one car company. This single event is a major warning for an entire interconnected system.
The crucial point here is that Jaguar Land Rover is really just a case study. The same deeply interconnected systems that make modern manufacturing so incredibly efficient also create these massive vulnerabilities.
This whole event gives us several key lessons for any modern industry. First, cyber attacks cause real-world physical disruption, not just data theft. Second, that disruption carries immediate and devastating financial costs. Third,
It exposes just how fragile our global supply chains have become. And finally, it proves the cost of security is rising dramatically for everyone.
Which leaves us with a final, kinda sobering thought. The Jaguar Land Rover headlines show that a cyber attack isn't some distant, abstract threat. It can stop an assembly line, cripple a global brand, and fundamentally change an industry's perception of risk. As our entire world gets more and more connected, it forces all of us to ask a much bigger question. What is the true cost of security?